During a call with her friend, she whispered, "What if he proposes? How do I say no without laughing in his face?" They both giggled. I heard every word. I didn't argue. But weeks later, when she finally saw a velvet box on the table, it wasn't what she expected inside. The sound that broke my life was a giggle. A small, conspiratorial little sound that trickled through the air vent from the living room into my workshop. I was in my happy place, sanding down a piece of black walnut, the smell of sawdust in the air. This is what I do. I'm a woodworker. I own a business that builds high-end custom furniture. It's a good business, a very good business. But my girlfriend of 3 years, Clara, always just called it my cute little hobby. She was on the phone with her best friend, Jessica. They were having one of their marathon gossip sessions, which usually just faded into background noise for me. But then I heard my name, and I froze, my hand hovering over the smooth, dark wood. "He's been dropping hints all week," Clara was saying, her voice a low, excited whisper. "He left a jewelry website open on his laptop. I think he's finally going to do it." Jessica squealed on the other end. "Oh my God, are you ready?" And then came the words that changed everything. Clara's voice dropped even lower, full of a kind of mocking contempt. "Ready for what? What if he proposes? How do I say no without laughing in his face?" They both giggled. That sound, it was the sound of my own execution. "Seriously," Clara continued, "he's sweet and all. He's a good-for-now guy, safe, stable. But he's not my endgame. You know who I'm talking about." I knew. She was obsessed with this real estate developer she'd met once at a gallery opening, a guy who reeked of new money and cheap cologne. "But a ring is a good insurance policy," she said. "It buys me time, keeps him happy, and looks great on Instagram. I'll give it a year, maybe 2, and then I'll trade up." I didn't move. I didn't even breathe. I just stood there in my workshop, covered in sawdust, and listened as the woman I was planning to spend my life with laid out her plan to use me as a placeholder, a stepping stone, a safe investment until a better one came along. I had been looking at rings, not just browsing. I had a custom design being made, a simple, elegant ring that I thought reflected her. Now I realized it reflected a person who didn't even exist. The hurt was a physical thing, a punch to the gut that left me winded, but it passed quickly, replaced by an ice-cold clarity. This wasn't a misunderstanding. This was a character assessment, delivered by the subject herself. I'm a builder. I look at plans, I assess materials, and I identify structural weaknesses. The foundation of my relationship, I realized, was rotten to the core. You don't patch rot, you demolish it. I didn't storm out and confront her. I didn't yell. That's what she would have wanted. Drama, emotion, a fight she could manipulate and turn back on me. No, I just went back to work. I finished sanding the piece of walnut, my movements precise and controlled. She came into the workshop an hour later, all smiles, and wrapped her arms around my neck from behind. "What you working on, babe?" she asked, kissing my cheek. I looked at her, at this beautiful stranger who had been sleeping in my bed, and I smiled back. "Just finishing up a project," I said. She had no idea. I wasn't just finishing a piece of furniture. I was drawing up the blueprints for her demolition. She thought she was playing a game of chess, and I was just a pawn. She was about to find out that she was playing against the man who had built the entire board, and he was about to flip it over. Update 1. It's been 3 weeks since I became a ghost in my own relationship. 3 weeks of playing the part of the devoted, soon-to-propose boyfriend while quietly setting the stage for Clara's grand finale. Thanks for the massive response to my first post. A lot of you said to burn it all down. I prefer a more controlled demolition. It's less messy and far more satisfying. After overhearing her plan, my first move was to lean into the role she'd assigned me. The very next day, I made sure she saw me on my laptop, looking at that same jeweler's website. I even asked her, very casually, if she preferred platinum or white gold. She practically vibrated with excitement. She launched into a detailed description of her dream ring, a monstrosity with a diamond the size of a small bird's egg. I just nodded and smiled, making mental notes. "Good to know," I said. She took this as her cue to escalate. Her hints about marriage became as subtle as a foghorn. She started leaving bridal magazines around the apartment. She'd point out happy couples on the street and sigh dramatically. It was a masterful performance. All the while, she was becoming more and more entitled, acting as if the proposal was a done deal and she was already the queen of the castle. While she was busy planning her fake future, I was busy deconstructing her present. Clara's career was as an interior designer. I use that term loosely. Her business consisted of an Instagram account and a mountain of debt. She had no clients, no portfolio to speak of, except for my house. For the past year, she had been systematically taking professional photos of my apartment, which I had designed and filled with my own custom-built furniture, and passing it all off as her own work. She'd post a picture of the walnut bookshelf I spent 80 hours building with a caption like, "So pleased with how this client project came together, designed by Clara." Her ultimate goal, the project she talked about constantly, was to land the contract for the new boutique hotel being built downtown, the Hawthorne. It was being developed by a man named Marcus Harrison, a legendary, old-school hotelier known for his impeccable taste. Getting the Hawthorne contract would instantly make her a star in the city's design world. She'd been trying to get a meeting with him for months, sending unanswered emails and leaving messages with his assistant. This is where her ignorance about my cute little hobby became her undoing. She had no idea that my primary clients were architects and high-end commercial developers. Marcus Harrison had been one of my best clients for over a decade. I had furnished 2 of his previous hotels. In fact, I had a meeting scheduled with him in 2 weeks to discuss the furniture commission for the entire Hawthorne Hotel. My plan began to take shape. It had 2 parts. First, I needed to quietly and legally separate my life from hers. I met with my lawyer and had him draw up documents to dissolve our shared assets, which were minimal, as I owned the house and my business long before I met her. We also prepared a formal notice for her to vacate my property. The second part was more creative. I thought about the interior design contract for the Hawthorne. I could have just let her fail on her own, but that wasn't enough. She wanted to build her career on a foundation of my work and my money. I decided to give that opportunity to someone who actually deserved it. I knew a young designer named Evelyn. She had been an apprentice for a friend of mine. She had an incredible eye and a work ethic that put Clara to shame. But she had 0 connections. She was working a dead-end job at a big-box furniture store. Her talent completely wasted. I called her and offered her a freelance contract. I told her I was pitching a big hotel project and I wanted her to collaborate with me on a presentation. I wanted her to develop a full interior design concept for the hotel lobby that would complement the furniture I was proposing to build. I gave her a generous budget for materials and a handsome fee for her work. She was so grateful she was nearly in tears. For the next 2 weeks, while Clara was busy picking out her engagement announcement outfit, I was having secret meetings with Evelyn. We worked in a rented studio space across town. Her ideas were brilliant. She was a true artist. Together, we put together a presentation that was, in a word, breathtaking. We built a 3D model, sourced fabric samples, and created a complete vision for the Hawthorne's public spaces. Meanwhile, at home, Clara was becoming unbearable. She started making demands, talking about the changes she wanted to make to our house after the wedding. She wanted to paint my workshop white and turn it into her new office. She told me my furniture was a little too rustic and that she had some great ideas for a more modern look. She was already redecorating a life she was never going to have. The day of my meeting with Marcus Harrison arrived. That morning, Clara was in a particularly smug mood. She'd somehow managed to get a low-level informational meeting with Harrison's junior marketing assistant for the following week, and she was acting like she'd already won the contract. "Don't be surprised if I'm the one paying for dinner soon," she said with a wink as I left for my boring work meeting. I met Evelyn at a coffee shop near Harrison's office. She was nervous but excited. I told her that I was going to present her as the lead designer on the project. "Your work deserves to be seen," I told her. "Just be yourself. You've got this." We walked into that meeting, and Marcus Harrison's face lit up when he saw me. We were old friends. He had no idea I was even in a relationship. I introduced Evelyn, and for the next hour, we walked him through our presentation. He was blown away. He loved the furniture designs, but he was absolutely captivated by Evelyn's overall vision. He kept saying she had the exact aesthetic he'd been searching for. At the end of the meeting, he looked at me, then at Evelyn. "The furniture commission is yours, of course, old friend," he said to me. Then he turned to her. "And young lady, the interior design contract for the entire hotel is yours, if you'll have it." Evelyn just stared at him, speechless. I watched as this talented, hard-working woman was handed the opportunity of a lifetime, the very opportunity Clara felt she was entitled to. We walked out of that office with a contract that would not only secure my business for the next year, but would launch a deserving designer's career into the stratosphere. The trap was now set. All that was left was for the target to walk into it. I had one final performance to give. The proposal. Final update. It's over. The curtain has fallen on the comedy of my relationship, and the silence is beautiful. I'm sitting in my workshop, the air smelling of fresh cut oak, and I've never felt more at peace. The night after we secured the Hawthorne contract, I set the stage. I told Clara I wanted to celebrate. I said I had a surprise for her, something we'd both been looking forward to. Her eyes lit up. This was it. The moment she'd been waiting for. I cooked her favorite meal. I opened a bottle of the expensive champagne she loved. I put on the soft, jazzy music she always said was romantic. I was the perfect picture of a man on the verge of proposing. She was glowing, practically vibrating with a smug, triumphant energy. She spent the entire dinner talking about her upcoming big meeting with Harrison's assistant, spinning fantasies about the design concepts she was going to pitch. I just listened and nodded, topping up her glass. After dinner, I led her to the living room. There, on the polished surface of the walnut coffee table, one of the pieces she'd claimed as her own on Instagram was a small black velvet box. Her breath caught in her throat. She looked at the box, then at me, her eyes wide with feigned emotion. She was a fantastic actress, I'll give her that. She was already composing the perfect Instagram caption in her head. "Go on," I said softly. "Open it." She picked it up, her hands trembling slightly with anticipation. She slowly lifted the lid, and then she just stared. Inside, nestled on the black velvet, was not a diamond ring. It was a single, ornate, old-fashioned brass key. She looked from the key to my face, her expression a mess of confusion. What is this?" she stammered. "Is this a joke?" "It's not a joke, Clara," I said, my voice calm and even. "It's the key to your new life, the one you'll be starting tomorrow morning." The confusion on her face curdled into anger. "What are you talking about?" "I'm talking about the phone call with Jessica," I said. "The one where you talked about how you would laugh in my face if I proposed. The one where you laid out your plan to use me as a placeholder until you could trade up." I heard every word. The color drained from her face. I've never seen someone's entire world collapse so quickly and so quietly. She just stood there, speechless. "The movers will be here at 9 a.m., I continued, my voice leaving no room for argument. "They will pack up all of your belongings. The key is for the storage unit where they will be taken. I've paid for the first month. After that, it's your problem." She finally found her voice. It was a strangled whisper. "You can't do this." "I can," I said. "It's my house, and you are no longer welcome in it." The denial phase ended, and the rage began. She started screaming, calling me a monster, a psycho. She said she had a right to be here. I just let her burn herself out. When she finally ran out of steam, she tried her last trump card. "Fine," she spat, her face ugly with fury. "I don't need you. I have my career. I'm going to land the Hawthorne project, and you'll see. You'll be begging me to come back." I almost felt sorry for her in that moment. Almost. I just smiled a small, sad smile. "About that," I said. "I had a meeting with Marcus Harrison yesterday. He's a wonderful man, a great client. He was so impressed with the presentation." Her eyes narrowed, suspicious. "What presentation?" "The one I gave him with the new lead designer for the project," I said. "He loved the custom furniture I'm building for the lobby, by the way. The pieces you've been featuring in your portfolio as your own work. But he was really blown away by the designer's vision. Her name is Evelyn. She's incredibly talented. He gave her the contract for the entire hotel. They signed the papers this afternoon." She just stared at me, her mouth opening and closing like a fish. The final support beam of her delusional world had just been kicked out. Her career, The one she was going to build on my back had been given to a complete stranger, a nobody, and it was my doing. I walked to the front door and opened it. "You can stay in the guest room tonight," I said, "but in the morning you need to be gone before the movers arrive." "Goodbye, Clara." She didn't move. She just stood there in the middle of my living room, the velvet box still clutched in her hand as the reality of her situation washed over her. She had nothing. No fiancé, no home, no career, no portfolio. The safe guy she planned to discard had just completely and utterly discarded her. I didn't wait for a reply. I just closed the door to my workshop behind me, leaving her alone with the pieces of her shattered future. The next morning she was gone. The key was left on the table. I got a string of hateful texts later that day, but I just blocked her number. I heard through the grapevine that she had a total meltdown, that her attempt to slander me and Evelyn in the design community backfired spectacularly when people found out she was a fraud who had been stealing my work. She had to move back in with her parents in the suburbs. Her endgame turned out to be her childhood bedroom. As for me, life has never been better. The Hawthorne project is a massive success. My business is expanding, and Evelyn, well, she's not just a brilliant designer. She's an incredible person. We've been working closely together, and our partnership is becoming something more. Something real. Something built on mutual respect and shared passion, not on lies and transaction. Clara thought a ring was an insurance policy. She learned the hard way that some policies get canceled, and you don't get your investment back. She wanted to laugh in my face. In the end, I was the one who got the last laugh, and I didn't have to make a sound.